Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to address you. Now, I wish I could be there in person. Nevertheless, I'm there in spirit, as well as by video. I'd like to begin by congratulating you, Chief Judge Collins, judges of the Central District of California, and the faculty and the staff of USC for putting together such a remarkable program on such an important issue. You have really done a great job. Now, on behalf of President Obama and the Department of Justice, I commend all of you who are committed to reducing recidivism by assisting community reintegration, increasing public safety, and reclaiming lives previously lost to violence, to drugs, and to crime. Now, while these laudable goals are not new, our understanding of how to achieve them is. We have learned that merely being tough on crime alone does not, by itself, make us safer. We must also be smart on crime. Now, being smart on crime requires speaking honestly about which policies have worked and which have not, without fear of being labeled as too hard or, more likely, as too soft on crime. Being smart on crime means moving beyond outdated labels and rhetoric and instead embracing science and data and relying on them to shape policy. And it means thinking about crime in context, not just focusing on enforcement actions, but also thoroughly examining the benefits of prevention and rehabilitation as well. Now, this commitment to being smart on crime inspires this administration's and this Justice Department's approach to reentry policy, just as it does for so many of you. We share your dedication to examining the evidence about what is necessary for people returning from prison and jails to be successful. Moreover, we are committed to learning from those who have implemented and maintained programs that demonstrate results. It is only through the rigorous evaluation of data and the institution of a comprehensive program of shared learning that we will be able to address our high rates of recidivism and other persistent and seemingly intransigent public safety challenges. In the United States, we imprison more of our population than any other industrialized nation in the world. More than 2.3 million people are held in federal or state prisons or local jails. That, to me, is an alarming statistic. But more importantly, for our purposes today, the vast majority of those 2.3 million people will not remain in custody forever. More than 97% of all U.S. prisoners are eventually released back into the community. That's approximately 650,000 formerly incarcerated people who come home to communities across the country every year. 650,000. These statistics are even more sobering when coupled with another fact. Most crimes in America are committed by individuals who have committed crime before. About 67% of former state prisoners and 40% of former federal prisoners are rearrested within 3 years. Now, logically, if we reduce the recidivism rate, we will directly lower the crime rate. Even a modest reduction in recidivism rates would prevent thousands of crimes, protect thousands of victims, and save hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars. In other words, being smart on crime means understanding that our work to prevent crime does not end when prison time begins. It means working to develop policies rooted in data to address what happens after incarceration in order to prevent the next crime before it occurs. So what can we do to lower the recidivism rate further, to make American communities safer, to get smarter on crime? Well, we can and we must implement forward-looking strategies that not only account for people who will be imprisoned, but also anticipate what will happen to people after they leave prison and attempt to re-enter society. We know that offenders who have participated in the Federal Bureau of Prisons Residential Drug Abuse Treatment Program are 16% less likely to be arrested, have their supervision revoked, and be returned to prison than similar inmates who did not receive such treatment before their re-entry into society. They are also less likely to use drugs once released. We also know that inmates who work in prison industries, which operate at no cost to the taxpayer, are 24% less likely to commit crimes again than inmates who do not work in the program. The Bureau of Prisons programs designed to address educational deficiencies, ranging from adult basic education to high school level classes, are also effective in reducing recidivism. Inmates who participate in these programs are 16% less likely to commit crime again compared to those who do not. And inmates who are released through halfway houses are more likely to be gainfully employed and therefore less likely to commit crimes again than inmates who are released from prison directly into the community. Now, these statistics underscore what we can accomplish when we pursue reentry policies that are both evidence-based and rigorously evaluated. Now, as you discussed yesterday, we know that making that transition back into society is a challenge in the best of circumstances. However, many coming home from prison and jail entered the criminal justice system saddled with addiction to alcohol and drugs, lacking basic education, or otherwise unprepared for employment. Of course, seeking to increase spending on prisoner reentry programs may not be easy politically. Providing more resources to people released from prison, especially in these difficult economic times, will undoubtedly lead critics to ask why people in prison should be given training and counseling that is unavailable to people without criminal records. And here again, the data provides a useful tool to show that reentry programs benefit the entire community. Now, fortunately, many local programs have realized this and they've stepped in to help. One effective example is Judge Stephen Ahm's Project Hope in Honolulu. Project Hope has been able to reduce probation violations in drug cases by imposing swift and certain sanctions in response to probation violations. Project Hope demonstrates that frequent drug testing and short jail terms are the most effective deterrents of recidivism. In implementing this learning, Project Hope has been a success in both financial and human terms. Yesterday, Judge Aiken of Oregon and Judge Jackson of the Eastern District of Missouri shared the stories of their successful reentry courts. These programs deploy resources targeted toward the needs of individuals upon release from incarceration. These programs provide sterling examples of innovation and remind us that we need not settle for the way things have been done in the past. Many of you are here today and involved in similarly promising endeavors. I understand that the Central District is starting a similar program here in January under the leadership of Judge Collins and Judge Wright, and with the assistance of Judge Carter and many dedicated probation officers, federal public defenders, and assistant United States attorneys. And although the program has not yet begun, the program evaluation staff are already hard at work to ensure that the results will be measurable right from the start. We must continue to draw from these successes, that is, your successes, to address this issue on a larger scale. Challenges have changed with time, but opportunities have changed too. We are able to compare the cost and the suitability of different strategies to truly be smart on crime. We no longer must choose between more crime or more prisons. We can reduce crime rates and reduce our dependence on incarceration, and at the same time increase the integrity of our criminal justice system. We can pursue evidence-based policies that not only anticipate emerging problems, but also preserve our foundational principles. The more we know, the better we can do, the more sophisticated we can be. With the help of the scholars and experts in this room, state and local law enforcement, corrections officials across the country, judges, victims of crime, and always with the fine work of government and defense attorneys, there is no question that a smarter and a better criminal justice system is within our grasp. Thank you very much.